Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Novel Knits. My name is Tanel and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about what I'm knitting and what I'm reading. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you're new, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. I'm really glad to see you. If you want to find me on Instagram or Ravelry, I'm Novel Knit Girl in both places. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. I love to hear from you. And let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So I just have a few things for Vital Few. If you haven't watched the last video, it's very short. It's 8 minutes, and I kind of just wrapped up my 2-year-long make-alongs from last year, Shop Your Stash and Sweater Year 2022, and my children jumped in to say hello. So if you're interested in checking that out, it's very short, and my daughter edited the video, so it was really cute. I did not suddenly gain an interest in video editing, which it was a goal when I first started this channel, but now it's just not. I am pretty self-conscious, and I find that if I think too much about what I'm putting in on the internet, I wouldn't do it. So it's best for all of us if I just record and post. But I have talked to Claire, and I think she's gonna try to help me record a couple intro and outro videos for the channel to just kind of polish things up a little bit in 2023. So that could be pretty fun. I am waiting to hear from one prize winner. So almost everybody else has contacted me, but I would love to get your prize too. So if I don't hear from you soon, I may send you a message on Ravelry. And if not, I'll have to draw another prize winner because I want to get it out of my house and into somebody else's arms. So congratulations to everyone who won and everyone who knit along with me last year. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. I hope that you guys had fun as well. I think that's it for Vital Few today. Everything I talk about will be listed below this video in the description box. So patterns, I have been just linking to my Ravelry page. So if you're not able to utilize that, just let me know and I'll be happy to tell you pattern names, designers, yarn. But it's just been easier to link my project pages right now. And every book I talk about will be listed below. And any questions, just leave a comment. I love hearing from you all. So I have 4 finished objects today. I have a lot of works in progress. I've finished, I think, 3 or 4 books. So I have a lot to talk about, but I'm gonna try not to babble on too long today. I'm not hosting another year-long make-along, but I will say that I'm kind of keeping the same mind frame going into 2023 of trying to get through my sweater stash and just shopping for my stash in general. I did purchase some yarn recently and I love it. It's wonderful and it's already on the needles. So I'm never gonna tell myself that I can't buy yarn. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's great to have guilt associated with yarn buying, especially when it's such a hobby and such a part of my life. However, I am trying to be smarter about when I buy yarn. It is for something that is gonna go on the needles right away. I am just trying to get out of the habit of buying yarn to store in my house because nobody needs that. But I think, and let me know if any of you feel this way, sometimes I get ahead of myself. Like I see a pattern, I wanna make it, I wanna get the yarn for it to know that when I have the time, energy, and space on my needles that I can cast it on. But I've done that with too many projects to date, so that is how my stash has really grown. So I'm just trying to slow myself down a little bit. But if there's something I really want to make and really want to use, I'm going to go for it. I think that's fine. Let's get into finished objects, and I'm wearing one. This is the Folklore sweater by Alexandra Tavel, which is 2 of Wands. This was a kit on Lionbrand.com. Lionbrand is their yarn is pretty affordable, their kits are really nice, and they're always on sale. So I would highly recommend it. This is I think it's super bulky. It's very thick yarn. This is their Hue Me line, and so it's at least bulky, if not super bulky. And the colors were in the kit. I don't remember them all. I think this is spicy. This was supposed to be werewolf, but I picked the wrong skein. And this is actually Peacoat. I don't remember this one, and I think this is Rosewater. But it's like it's a very, very beige. I mean, it's got hints of like pink, but it's mostly like a brownish beige. Just a beautiful color. I love it. So I'll stand up really quick. It has obviously this wonderful ribbed turtleneck. It's got this wonderful color work yoke. It has color work on the sleeves. And yeah, it's just pretty basic. My sister-in-law was like, that looks so hard. And I was like, it really isn't. It's thick yarn. You're only doing knits and purls. It's just, you know, switching the yarn you use. And I think it turned out really nice. I did make a few modifications, but I mean, they're not that big of a deal. And mostly it was how I was reading the pattern. It's all just like lines, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But because of how it's laid out, I did miss a few lines. So one thing was under this last row of color work here, you're supposed to do the increases right underneath. And I missed that line. And then luckily I looked back at the pattern and saw that I'd missed a whole round of repeats. So I added them about 4 rows below, which I actually think helped this kind of not pucker. When I look at some of the project pages on Ravelry, some of them look like they're puckering right underneath that last row of color work. So I'm actually happy with that. The other thing that I changed was another just line in the pattern that I missed was short rows before I separated from my sleeves. I just did the short rows at the bottom. I'd done that in my love note and I knew that it would work and it did. So that was all really easy and I was right on gauge. I will say this is a pretty stiff fabric. I mean, it's not uncomfortably stiff. I don't think it looks incredibly bad or anything, but I did wonder if it would loosen up, relax a little bit with blocking, but the Hue Me is not, there might have, I don't know. I don't have the tag next to me right now, but I think it's I have a skein here, so let me see. Best to not talk about things we don't know, right? 80% wool and 80% acrylic and 20% wool. Here. I don't think I am showing you. Yeah, right there. And it is a bulky weight. So because it's mostly acrylic, it really didn't like loosen up with blocking. It is machine wash and dryable. I just washed it in my sink and then laid it out to dry. It took about 3 days to dry completely. And after 2 days of being on a towel, I put it on a drying rack to help get some more air through it, and it finally dried out after that. But it did take a very long time, and the stitches did not really relax. So that is probably the only thing that I'm not like thrilled about, but I don't know. I made size 3. I was right on gauge. I could have gone up a needle size and gone down a size in the pattern, but this works, and I'm actually really happy with it. It's very, very warm, and I really like it. And I was really kind of monogamous with it for about a week, and that's why I got it done so quickly. So I really, really am happy with it. I think it's good. I mean, anytime that you have a color work yoke, they're kind of dramatic, right? But I think it's really good. So this will definitely be a deep winter sweater. This will not come out in April or probably not like October. It'll be like December, January, February, and that's okay. Okay, and then my next finished object is I finished my Advent socks finally. They look really good. I'm really happy with them. This is the Advent skein from Woolens and Nosh from 2022. I knit these 2 at a time, magic loop, and I did not love the experience of knitting them 2 at a time, but that has nothing to do with the yarn. When I got to the bottom, it was kind of bothering me because the stripes were not much, but they were a little off. You can kind of maybe see. And then when I got to the yellow stripe, well, I ended up cutting the yarn so that they would match perfectly at the toe. And I'm really glad I did that. I didn't want to add in this, this eggplant again. I was just kind of tired of it and I didn't want any more ends to weave in. And I do love the bullseye effect on a toe when it's done well. So I just wanted it to be perfect and make me happy, and it does. So these are great. I will definitely do Woolens and Nosh Advent socks again. This color is so beautiful. The base, she does a targi sock base, and it's like thick and woolly and wonderful, but soft. It's just fantastic. So highly recommend. The experience of knitting these was great. I think I did like the first 6 or 7 days, and then I had to put them away to get through the rest of my holiday knitting. But then once I picked them up again, I did struggle just because I don't think I'm a 2 at a time sock knitter. So very happy, they're lovely, they're done, and I'm glad. And then my husband and my son both have birthdays at the end of January. So Nathan's birthday is January 30th and Milo's is the 31st. Nathan wanted a balaclava, which is like the hardest word to say, for when he is using the snowblower or shoveling, because, you know, Wisconsin, we get snow. We used to, at least. Milo was born in a blizzard. We had got 24 inches of snow and came home from the hospital, and it was just like the apocalypse. It was awful. So he just wanted something to keep his face and his head warm while he's doing the shoveling. And we have a neighbor that lives next door to us who is going through some medical issues, and we try to help them out when we can. So Nathan can be out there for a while shoveling or snow blowing. And so for his birthday, I made him this. It's called the Ronja, and it's by Arne and Carlos. And the yarn that I used is Night Owl Fibers. She's known for her self-striping yarn, but she does do some kettle dyed yarn from time to time. And this is some of that. It's called Winter Woods, I believe. It's just gorgeous. Kind of like a beigey blue. Beige is my color today. I guess that's just what I'm going to call everything. So it fits. I'm not going to put it on because it looks ridiculous on me. The only thing I'm not happy with is the top. This is very, very, very mushroomy. If I was thinking, I would have done the decreases differently to have the top look different. Also, the original pattern by Arne and Carlos has color work. I did not add the color work in. He just wanted one color. But yeah, other than the top, I really like it. It turned out great. It's a free pattern, so you could do something different on the top. I thought about unpicking it and redoing it, and then I just didn't want to. So, and it's for snow. It is, he's going to wear it when he's snow blowing or shoveling. It's not a fashion statement. So I just had to like let go and say, it keeps him warm. It works. So I think it's nice. If I was going to make another balaclava in the future, I don't think I would use this particular pattern just because I did not love the decreases at the top. But I mean, it's also like a personal preference, right? And then I was wondering, is it because I do magic loop and don't go down to double points? Maybe I should look at some of the project pictures and see if they look the same. I'm just not sure. Overall happy, but the top's a little mushroomy. And then Milo asked for, I was going to make him a sweater, and then we had a real like heart to heart because I made him a sweater once and he never wore it, like not even for a picture, nothing. And I let him pick out a pattern, and he picked out a zip up hoodie, which I thought like, okay, I mean, I can do that, but he doesn't wear anything like that ever. So we had heart to heart, and I said, what else would you want? You know, I make him socks. I made him a hat for Christmas, and he was like, I would really like a scarf. Like, and I was like, a cowl? And he said, no, a scarf. So I found him a free pattern. This is called the Timiyan by Mouton Rouge. And thank you for those of you who did give me suggestions. I'm sure this is not going to be the last scarf somebody asks me to make, so I am keeping all of those suggestions for the future. I like this one because it is not ribbing. It's like a mock rib. So there's no actual purling, but you do have to like slip stitches and move yarn. And because I'm an English style knitter, I actually do have to move my yarn always from back to front. I tried to learn continental knitting, and I could do it to an extent. Like I can do continental knitting, but continental purling was really difficult for me. But I feel like that's the one thing that would be life-changing if I could get that skill. But the yarn I used is Knit Picks Capra DK, and the color is, ooh, what is it? Eclipse Heather. He has worn this already. I do feel like maybe this wasn't the best choice for a scarf. It's a little fuzzy, but he's also hard on it. Like he went out and we got some snow last week, so him and the neighbor, you know, kids have it so good these days. They have like these, oh gosh, I can't think of the word, like a snowboard, but like with a handle. So like they can just like, and we've got a pretty good size hill in our backyard that they can play on. So, you know, they were just snowboarding, and he came in and he had like snow caked to it and leaves in it. I was like, where'd you find leaves? Everything's covered. But so he's pretty hard on it, but that's okay. And it's so soft, and you know, it's probably not gonna last more than a couple of years, but that's okay. As long as it keeps him warm and it's soft, I'm happy. So those were the birthday gifts. And that's it for finished objects. So we can move into works in progress. I'm just gonna take a sip of tea. My intention when I started today was to not say so and so much, but I'm sure that I've failed. Okay, works in progress. I have a lot. I'm gonna start with, I had okay, I frogged my Metropolis. I was liking it, and I got to a point where I did the turtleneck. I was, you know, a couple inches below the split for sleeves. I was working on a sleeve, and I thought, well, I'm gonna have to rip back because I have to start helical knitting because of the flashing and pooling was bothering me. And so I started to unravel it. And then I thought, well, what if I just keep going? And my initial thought was that I would cast the same project on again, fix the short rows and helical knit and make the turtleneck longer. You know, I had all these ideas, and then I thought, I don't think I really want to do that. I don't think I really want to do that again. So I switched projects. I spent some time on Ravelry looking for patterns with bulky yarn. And at first I saw the Ursa by Jacqueline Cieslak, and I have that in my library. But I was kind of not really wanting a V-neck for this particular project. So then I found another pattern that might be in my library now that looked great, but I think it would look better in a solid colored yarn. And then in my mailbox came the newsletter from Jessie Maed Designs announcing her big rib sweater. And at first I was like, well, I don't really love ribbing. I'm fine with ribbing. I'm really okay with ribbing. And then I thought, well, she's using like really airy yarns. And then I looked at the yarn requirement, and it was like, you can use any yarn you want. Like it's a worsted yarn at a bulky gauge. So I thought, well, I can use bulky at a bulky gauge. And the ribbing is probably going to really help with some of that flashing and pooling. Plus I can just switch my yarns, because I was thinking like helical knitting and ribbing would be difficult. So I thought, well, I can just switch my yarns on a seam and it won't be very noticeable because of the ribbing. And I am right, and I'm happy, and it is making me, I'm just so glad with this. I'm so glad with this change. So this is the big rib sweater by Jessie Maed Designs. I think I bought it the day that it was released, which is not like me. And the yarn I'm using is Tanis Fiber Arts Pure Wash Chunky in the color Metropolis. So it's blue with all these different speckles. And yeah, this has been making me happy. It sort of looks like a corset right now because of how it pulls in, but it is not going to look like that long term. here it is. I'm so pleased with how the yarn is working. I think that the color is distributing so much more evenly. I just love it. It's awesome. There's no flashing and pooling that I'm really seeing. Yeah, this is great. The construction of this is fabulous. It's a paid pattern, so I'm not going to give it away, but I just love the lines. And her instructions are so clear and so good. This is the second pattern I've made by her, and I have several of them in my queue that I would like to make. And she's just great at her instruction. Very clear. There was one part where I was a little like questioning what I was doing, and as soon as I did it wrong, I was like, oh wait, no, now I know exactly what she's saying. So it is just extremely well written, and I'm just so happy with this. This is going to be what I work on most probably in the next couple of weeks. I would like to get this one finished, hopefully before the end of the month. Instead of having any lofty yearly goals this year, I'm sort of doing like some small monthly intentions instead. So at the beginning of February, my intention was like, let's finish the Metropolis. And then I ripped it out. So now I was thinking, let's try to finish the big rib. And if I don't, it's not a big deal. I also want to maybe finish one pair of socks and not cast down any new socks until I finish a couple of the whips I have. And I would like to pull out a languishing whip before the end of the month to work on, or frog. I think every month I'm going to choose a languishing whip and do finish your frog. And I may not finish it the month I pick it up, but really decide, like, is this something I still want to do? I've already decided I am frogging my Find Your Fade by Andrea Mowry. I just don't want to find my fade anymore. I'm starting to think that a 7 skein shawl just isn't right for me. So now I don't know what I'm going to do with that yarn, but I have options and it'll be fine. And then I have a few other things that I just, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to frog because I haven't been reaching for them in 2 years. And knitting shouldn't feel like work. So, ooh, there it was, the sew. Big rib, I love it. I'm really happy I went this route. I think once I block it, it's not gonna look like a corset. I did try it on last week and it was fitting fine. Like, it's not like scrunching in on my body or anything. So I think it'll be good. This is in my bag by the Fat Squirrel. I love it. It's my library bag, or her library bag. And this is a great sturdy bag. So I have my Let's Stay Home socks. This is a free pattern by Nancy Wheeler, who is Knit Sip Happy. She's got a wonderful podcast on YouTube, so check her out. And it is just a wonderful 6-row repeat sock, and I love it. I used some yarn by the Creative Knitter. I don't know her whole story, but I feel like this was one of her earlier colorways when she first started dyeing yarn. I could be completely wrong. It is called Goodnight Ojai, and I love it. And it came with this coordinating mini, and it's just wonderful. The toe did get a little funky. So it's interesting how the yarn kind of striped, right? And then the toe gets a little funky. I'm really interested to see how the second sock knits up in this yarn. Yeah, it's wonderful. Very, very easy, very fun, very relaxing knit. So I'll be casting on the second sock this weekend, and this is the pair of socks that I'm focusing on for this month. And this is in my Stitching the High Notes bag with ice skates and sweaters and candy canes and gnomes. It's just a lovely winter bag, and I really like this one. Okay, and then, so I mentioned that I had purchased some yarn, and it was from Sonder Yarn, and I just love it so much. Okay, I'm gonna start with this one actually. So, if you watched The Grocery Girls, there was a big debate about this new pattern that came out recently called the Coffee Run Collar. It is by Samantha Guerin, and it is like a, so I think Jody was calling it a dickie. I don't believe it's a dickie, but I also agree with her that collar is not quite the right word. It's sort of like a cowl with a smock in the front and then just a little bit in the back. So it's like a cowl, kind of. Anyway, so there's this debate going on of if it's only like outerwear. And I can see, you know, because Samantha styles it, everything is styled with a coat, right? So that you can't tell that it's not a sweater that covers your whole body. But I work from home full time. I have Zoom meetings all the time. And I thought this would be really great to put over a long sleeve t-shirt and look a little bit more professional, because I tend to wear hooded sweatshirts almost all the time. And then I run upstairs really quick and I throw on a sweater to have my meetings on a good day. I don't always make it. Sometimes I show up on the meeting in my hooded sweatshirt, depends on who it's with. But anyway, I thought this would be a really nice staple in my wardrobe for that purpose, as well as to keep me warm when I'm going to baseball games or walking the dog. I think I've mentioned many times that I walk my dog 3 times a day, rain or shine. So I'm always looking for extra warmth. So I purchased a kit from Sonder Yarn for this pattern. And so I got the Halo Mohair Silk, and it's the Boreal color. And then for the fingering yarn, I got Sunday Morning 4-ply BFL. It's a 75% BFL and 25% Masham. And this color is Wildwood. So let me show you those. I mean, if you watched my last episode, it's a color that looks very familiar. I love green. Green is my favorite color. So I love these, and it's so pretty, you guys. I love it. So this is the back. So this is, oh my gosh, this looks so pretty on camera. Holy cow, is that good? So yeah, this will be on the back of my neck, and I just got to a point where I have to start doing like the opening for the collar. And you know, sometimes, even though it's not hard, you know, I was in the rhythm of going back and forth, and I just wasn't ready for doing something different. So I put it aside for a few days. I'll probably work on that next week. But I love it. It's really fun. I think once I get past the collar, it'll go really fast. So this is in a bag by I Heart You, which is Laura. And it's just one of her camping bags. This is probably my favorite style bag. It's like I have no idea what the style is called, but it has drawstring, and there's enough room in here to do a sizable project, a small sweater, coffee run collar, a shawl, probably like a figurine weight sweater for sure as well. So favorite style bag. I try really hard not to. I have enough bags, and while I love supporting Laura, I'm like, I can't look at her shop. All right, so then when I was ordering from Sonder Yarn and I knew I wanted that, I was also like fresh off watching the Grocery Girls talk about the coffee run collar, which I had decided I was gonna make before I watched them. But then, you know, they're talking about their raglan make-along, and I have been wanting to make a Lento for a long time. I for sure could have found something in stash. Like, let's be real, I could have found yarn in stash, but I just got mohair in my throat. But since I was ordering Sonder Yarn from Canada, I just looked at their kits. They had kits for the Lento, and all the colors that I really loved were sold out. And then I thought, well, why don't I just look at what they have available in just their yarn that's not in a kit. And I found 2 colors that, you guys, I finally did it. I finally found the most amazing yarn pairing of all time. Oh my gosh, so good. I know I don't usually go for blue, but I really, 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 really love this. It's so good, so good. The Surrey is called Haze, and that is 75% Surrey alpaca and 26% silk, and I love it. And that color is Rocket, so Rocket. And then this is the gray space, which is 75% merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% silk. And this is called Madeline. And it is as amazing as it sounds. It is soft, it is beautiful. And you guys, here's my Lento. Look at it. Oh my God. I love it so much. It is so soft, so pretty, so everything wonderful that you can imagine. This fold over collar at the top is unbelievable. The softness and the squish. I have never been happier with yarn in my life. I mean, the BFL and mohair is good, but this is sensational. Look at that. Oh my God. I love it. So I haven't been working on this week. I've oddly enough had a kind of busy week in the evenings where I just haven't had a lot of sit down and knitting time. And then the one day I did, I was not in the mood to knit, and I just was on my phone and watching TV, which was really weird. And I shouldn't have wasted my time like that. But I love this. This is gonna get some time coming up because I'm in love. It is beautiful, and I want this on my body. Like, I wanna wear it. This is gonna be so pretty. So I think I'm getting close to splitting for the sleeves, but I'm not there yet. So this is the Lento by Jonna Hietala. And yeah, I started this on February 1st, and it's awesome. And it happens to be in a bag by Mrs. Brown's Bags, which is Jody from the Grocery Girls. This is one of my favorite sweater bags. I just love this bucket style as well. I mean, I really like anything without a zipper, but I have zipper bags that I love too. Just zippers are a little, I'm not the most careful person all the time. I believe there's also another knit along going on called Let's Lento that I'm going to look into as well. I've heard about that in a couple different areas, but I don't think I watch whoever's hosting it, so I'm going to check them out as well. Okay, so then I had a couple other random cast-ons, and okay. So when I got to that point in the coffee run collar where I was supposed to start doing the neck part, I was like, I'm not up for that today. So, and I'm trying not to shake the camera, I'm sorry. So I decided, I had one more skein of this Capra DK Eclipse Heather from my son's scarf. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make a Sophie scarf. So if you're anywhere on Instagram or Ravelry, you've seen this. Everybody's made it. And yeah, so I just casted it on because as an avoidance tactic. I did not weigh my skein beforehand, but it's a 50-gram ball. So after I do what would be the small size, I'm going to weigh the ball and see if I have enough for the large size. I did see a few project pages on Ravelry that used this, and nobody said if they made the small or the large, and one person did run out of yarn. So I'll probably make the small one because I don't want to buy another skein just for a little bit, because that's not what I want to do. So we'll see. It is a little stiff. I probably should have gone up a needle size, but I'm not going back. This is probably the first of a few Sophie scarves that I'll make. I also think that I really like the Sophie shawl, and I think that this is a pretty simple pattern, and I could probably figure it out without purchasing this Sophie shawl pattern. So I think this is something I'll come back to, and I just kind of want to get the first one done. So here it is. It's really a very simple, very pretty pattern, and I think I've done the repeat about 10 times. I'm not gonna say any more because it's a paid for pattern and I don't wanna mess that up. But this is one of those patterns where, I mean, I'm not knocking anything, but it's so simple that this one could have been free. And I think that would have been just fine. All right, and then I don't have that in a project bag. And then my last one is something that I literally just cast on last night. Again, I was feeling, I don't know, just not totally focused last night. So, I mean, I cast on 2 things in one day. Yeah, I was a little off. And the Sophie scarf is by PetiteKnit. And then I decided to cast on another PetiteKnit pattern. This is the Holiday Slipover. So I have, if you watched before Christmas, I had started a shawl out of Hue Me. It was black and pink, and I just kind of didn't love it. It was a little cumbersome and not intuitive, and I just wasn't loving it. So now I have 6 skeins of Hue Me, and I think it's enough to make this holiday slipover. However, I am having some trouble, and I tried to make another sweater by PetiteKnit. It's the, oh my gosh, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the one that's very popular that everyone makes, that is like, just like a raglan. What's it called? I don't remember. But yeah, it's like her easy raglan. I tried to make it, and I got through the sleeve separation twice and had like an enormous amount of stitches wrong. And so I frogged it, and I made the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Made Designs instead. So I have been, this could be my fault. I did not gauge swatch. I just cast on. I didn't read ahead in the pattern, but I find her instructions confusing. But anyway, here's where I'm at. So it's a construction very kind of similar to the big rib. So you start with the back, and then you connect to the front. And so this is the front. But I'm realizing that, like, I don't know, it's just not working out really. Because it's a slipover, I feel like I'm gonna be able to fudge my way through this. And I have enough sweater. I'm by no means an expert sweater knitter or knitter in general. I still learn something new all the time. However, I do think I have the skills to make this work. But I think that I'm not sure this designer is right for me. There's so many options out there that if it had been one pattern, but now I'm on the second pattern where I feel like I'm not really understanding what you're saying. I mean, something like that Sophie scarf, that's easy. But this, I don't know why I'm not getting it. So I'm gonna try to fudge through it this weekend and see if I can get it to a place where it feels okay. And if not, I'm just gonna frog it. It's not a big deal. If I don't use this yarn, I won't be devastated. This is the Hue Me by Lionbrand. Same as this. This is knit on a much bigger needle though, and I do like the fabric better. So, I mean, it's kind of airy, but I kind of like it. So, I don't know. I'm gonna go with this a little bit longer and see where it takes me. I feel like I can probably figure this out and make it work, but I'm also not gonna be overly sad if I have to frog it. And if I frog it, I'll probably just donate this yarn to a local charity, because I don't think it's enough to make anything else, and I don't want to buy more. So that is it for works in progress. And this is just hanging out in this bag I got from Old Navy that I thought would work really well for me for traveling, and then it like picks up every follicle in the house. So I'm just using it for yarn now. I'm hoping very soon, probably once I get really close to finishing the big rib, I am looking forward to casting on the Ilia by Caitlin Hunter. I'm not going to lie, the fact that she took a video of herself skating on an outdoor pond with the sweater on was a huge marketing tactic for me. It was like she was coming into my soul because I was a former figure skater and I need this sweater now. So I have some knit picks, Wool of the Andes, that I'm planning to make it in, which is nice when you don't have to wind up yarn, right? And other than that, I think I will be pulling out my Fading Waves by Stephen West and trying to finish that one. I would, my first thought was to frog it, but the yarn is beautiful and I don't know what else I would use it for. And if I don't think I'll use it, it would be a beautiful piece to gift someone. So I'm gonna finish that one in the next couple of months because that has to get off my needles. It's been a long time. But yeah, let's move on to book club. I have finished A Summer Affair by Elin Hilderbrand, and I was pretty clear last time that I did not like this book. Here it is, it's done. I'm going to put this in my little free library for somebody else to read. It was just, there were a lot of things I didn't like about it, but the biggest thing was there just seemed to be like a wall of glass between the story and like any real emotions. And maybe this writer just isn't good at that. I don't know. I just didn't like it. So it's a woman who's got 4 kids. She's a glass blowing artist. She is co-chairing a gala in Nantucket. She had a relationship in high school with a guy who's now a rock star. She's having an affair with another guy. And it just kind of, at one point I was like, how many people can love this woman? And then there was just no real reason for the story. There was no, I don't know, I just didn't like it. So I would not recommend this one. It's gonna go in the little free library in my neighborhood now. And then I also finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which I gave 5 stars. I loved it. I talked about it in the last video, but it's just phenomenal. Well written, life-changing, beautifully crafted, just the whole package. I loved it. I would highly recommend it. I think everyone should read it. It was beautiful. I also read Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka. I gave that 4 stars. I thought it was quite good. It follows the life of a man who, part of the story takes place on his last day where he's going to be heading into the execution chamber. Kind of what's going through his head. He has like, there's even like a moment where he thinks someone's going to help him escape. And so kind of just chronicles that part. But then the other part of the story starts with his mother and women in his life throughout the years and how they intersect. And it was really, really good. Really well written. Excellent. I would recommend that one as well. And then I finished How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. I'm probably saying that last name wrong. That was another book that I thought was good. I gave it 3 stars. There were parts of it that were poignant and lovely and beautiful, and then parts of it that were just didn't fit. This book takes place after a pandemic that, the first wave wipes out children, and then there's different waves of people that get sick, and kind of how the society about, in the future deals with their loss and dealing with illness and saying goodbye to people. So it had some very, very sad moments and some moments where I was like, what is going on here? And there were some places where it was supposed to intersect. I don't know. It was compared to Station 11. I think Station 11 is a better choice. It had some moments of greatness, for sure. But yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it or not. I thought it sort of missed the mark for me. So my new before bed book, sorry, I did not plan this well, is The Shadows by Alex North. I read another book by Alex North The Whisper Man I read by Alex North. I'm really liking this. The main character comes back to his hometown because his mother's getting sick. He hasn't been there since he left many years ago. There was a murder, which you haven't gotten a lot of information about yet, but it's creepy, and I love the book cover. You know, it's great. It's not, well, I should say it's good. It's not going to be like a great book, but I am enjoying it, and it's keeping my attention. I'm reading like 2 chapters a night so far. I mean, I'm not that far yet, but this is going quicker than this did for sure. And I'm looking forward to reading it, which is nice. And then on Audible, I am reading Incense and Sensibility. I don't remember the author's name because when I wrote these notes, I wasn't reading it yet. I was still finishing How High We Go in the Dark. But there's a whole bunch of these books by this author that kind of play on Jane Austen books, from what I can tell. This is my first kind of foray into this author. And it's cute, it's sweet. The main character's name is India Dashwood, which is fun. There was a Wickham character in there, you know, so I find those types of books very charming when you can, it's not a complete retelling of something, but it's got those like hints to like draw you in. It's like you're part of the club, like, yeah, I love Jane Austen too. So I'm really enjoying that as well. And I will tell you more about it the next time we chat because I haven't read that much yet. The mohair in Surrey is deep in my throat. And that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Like, subscribe, reach out, say hello. Thanks so much. I always love that you're here and that you spend time with me, and let me know what you're knitting. That's the biggest thing I'm gonna miss about not doing a year-long make-along is seeing what you guys are working on. So feel free to tell me, tag me, send me a DM. I love seeing what you guys are working on as well. Bye.